Have you ever seen this comment online? Or maybe even felt it yourself? If that resonates even a bit, listen closely. There's a huge misconception that nobody talks about reference tracks. This misunderstanding causes so many producers to doubt themselves for years. It revolves around chasing ghosts of mastering in your mixdown. Today, we are exorcising those ghosts. And no, I'm not trying to sell you a mastering course. So, hop in. I want to start with an example so you hear exactly what I mean. This is a track I mastered from a client of mine. And let's see if you can hear the difference between depth and clarity. They're around the same loudness level. Before master. Again. It's not because I'm a magical mastering engineer. It is because the nature of mastering itself, and any other mastering engineer would end up with similar results. Let me explain what is happening. This is your track before mastering. You have very peaked points and quiet points. The perceived depth of the track lies here, on the very quiet parts of the track. It is your delay tails, it is your reverb tail, it is your extra ambiences, it's your ear canyons. All those things tends to be very quiet in a track. Hence, when we listen to the pre-mastered version, because they are way quieter, we are not able to hear it. Listen. What happens when you master a track? Your loudest and quietest points in the track get squashed together. They get closer to each other. I'm slightly exaggerating, but your quietest point suddenly much louder. All your reverb tails, ambiences, delay tails, all the sounds on the behind, they pop. Then why don't they take over your mix? Because now they are louder, but our loudest points kind of clip. They cannot get loud. For one single reason, your loudest points get more sustained because they go up, limited, they stay there for a while, and then they go down, more sustained. Hence, the difference between this and this part is more pronounced, and that even enhances more to the feeling of the depth. And this is nothing to do with the mastering engineer. It is just how mastering works, especially in the electronic dance music where we really squash the things up. And this exact reason is why many producers get so hopeless. They don't understand they are comparing apples and oranges. This is an apple, this is an unmastered track, and when you put a reference track while you are producing your track, what you are doing, you are comparing this version to. And this makes many producers so miserable and hopeless, and they feel like they are missing something. There is some magical things happening. The depth and the clarity is much better in the reference track. No, it's not. It's just mastered. Pulling down the volume levels won't change the fact that whole transient behavior and crest factor of mastered track is still same. So you cannot eliminate that. Today's sponsor is actually something very useful for referencing your tracks. It is an AI tool that works inside your DAW, meaning that you can drop any songs you like. It starts analyzing the track. Once you are done, you are welcomed by this screen. Your reference track separated into the 4 stems: vocals, the bass, the drums, and all others. The reason I like it to be a VST is that means that I can easily compare individual stems to my own track. Let's say we compare the drums. That also means that now I can use any tool I want. Let's say I want to see how drums look, or maybe span. You can even use it for resampling things from your reference tracks. Let's say I want to create some type of ambience from the vocals. Let's drop EQ and reverb on top and resample it one more time. Now we have this beautiful ambience just like that. Thank you, Lander, for sponsoring this video, and if you want to take a look at yourself, check the links below. Best compression, the easiest compression will be actually adding a limiter to your master, at least emulate a little bit. And let's pull the volume down. Now, if we compare again, given that this is a bit louder, My master is slightly different because I have much more processing to make everything smoother. But now we are at least comparing a bit more similar tracks to each other. Even then, I would really strongly suggest to you, don't compare the depth of your track with the master track, because that will be really different when you master your track in the end. This is the reason number one, but this is not the only reason. If you're enjoying the video up to now, please consider like and subscribe. It really helps me ton. And reason number two will be low and smoothness. Another thing that happens during the mastering is actually oftentimes lowest part of the track is kick, and kick is traded with the sub. The relationship between sub and kick really changes. Let's say your kick is something like this. Due to multiband compression, limiting, or even saturation and any other compression will turn your kick most of the time into this. In more extreme cases, it can even turn it into this. And before mastering, your bass will be probably something like this. Let's say, do you have double it? What happens with the mastering? It turns into this. And this relationship makes everything go smoother because all the curves are flattened out. And that together with all the other elements before the master, because you are much more transient, the volume difference between elements will be again higher. Maybe this is your clap, maybe this is your hat, right? Mastered, squashed together, suddenly everything is much closer to each other, right? Perceived coherence suddenly changes in the track. Listen to this. This time on my own track, before master, I'm getting older. Low end is still okay, but when the mastering comes in, look how everything smooths out more. Suddenly things are smoother, and once you couple this one with the beauty part of the track, it doesn't sound that good. Listen to the same part now, mastered. All that processing, saturation, compression, limiting, everything gets closer to each other, but it's not a magic trick, it's just the mastering. Okay, after all this, should you really use reference track? And the answer is big yes. You should really use reference track because they are so helpful. I still use it all the time, but use it for the right things. So what are those right things? Number one, arrangement and structure, pacing, section lengths, like how long is the intro, how long is the build up, how long is the chorus, breakdown, when does elements come in and out, how does elements come in out. This is independent of mastering. This is like a production, and there's so much value using reference track to learn about arrangement or improving your arrangement. Number two, overall vibe and the energy. What does track do in different parts? In the chorus, does the energy going up, or what happens afterwards? Are we melancholic? Are we bringing down the energy? Is it getting more mysterious? How does it do that? There are noises, there are like additional leads, very useful. Again, compression is about production. Third one will be the instrumentation and sound selection. Now, be careful with the sound selection. Again, mastered means that things a bit get fatter than it used to, but you can still hear what type of sound and select the sound used. For example, a big lead. What type of sound is that? Is the sawtooth. The pad sound. What type of pad sound is that? It's probably like an ambient triangle. The vocal, how is it processed? Wide, tight, ambient. What type of kicks are used? Is the thumpy kick or is the distorted kick? It is really good for inspiration, and it is really helpful if you are a bit hesitant about if the sound fits the certain genre, especially if you are a beginner. Another thing could be stereo width. In the master, oftentimes stereo will be slightly exaggerated, but you can still see the overall balance in the track. How is each instrument panned? How is hats? How are the bass, mid-range, up-range? Especially with a tool like Isotope Imager or similar imager tools, you can clearly see the stereo width in each different bands, and that will really help how you can also place your elements if you want to have similar sound. And finally, probably the tonal balance. Tonal balance can change slightly in the master, obviously, but overall curve, based on my experience, stays quite similar. And if you just compare your tonal balance in your track with your reference, that will be still very helpful if you deviate too much in some of the parts of the track. The main purpose of this video is just wanted to make sure that you understand this, because I feel so bad every time I read those comments on Reddit or on comment section on YouTube videos, and I wanted to just give you the encouragement. It's not you. Of course, there are a lot of things that you can do in the mix that give depth and clarity in your track. I have a video over here explains exactly that, but really understand how master also can affect your track, so you really don't compare apples and oranges and that get hopeless afterwards. It's not you, it is the master. But if you want to learn more about mixing, check this video over here. It could be helpful.